See, y'all can gaslight white folks all you want, but I know that y'all be calling y'all's kids worser names. I know that's not the meanest name that kid's been called probably this week. I know that word doesn't have the power it used to have. I know that y'all just do this to play victim. I know that boy's parents wasn't there, and that tells me everything I need to know about being a present parent. Y'all can act all offended and all this hurt. John, I can't believe you have the same stance of all this shit. No, because I know y'all just want a race war, and I know y'all won't win it. And what I also know is that this is selective outrage. How are you more mad about a word than you are a boy taking another boy's life? I know. Lack of accountability.
And he is 100% correct, which is why I'm not taking the Shiloh Hendrix situation that seriously. Because I grew up in an area where I was exposed to way worse. I see and hear worse on a daily basis. Obviously, Shiloh calling a kid a racial slur is wrong. I'm not here to defend her when it comes to that. But I also know that this community, not all, but the portions of this community, the portions that are like celebrating Carmelo Anthony, the ghetto ratchet portions of this community, they call their kids the N-word and way worse all the time. I remember parents used to come up to my school when I was growing up, and they would literally fight other students and call students the N-word. We would literally have moms pop up at classrooms to beat the hell out of little 11-year-olds while calling them the N-word. As I would ride home on the school bus, I always knew that there was going to be something crazy popping off at the bus stop. If I had a nickel for every time that there was a black mom or a black auntie, a grown-ass woman waiting at the bus stop to fight little kids while calling them all types of names, I would probably have at least enough money to go afford a combo from Chick-fil-A. I literally witnessed this stuff go down all the time, which is why I feel so comfortable speaking about the things I speak about. This is why I'm confident in what I say. And some white liberal living in the gated community in the hills somewhere can't tell me anything because they haven't experienced, they haven't witnessed, they haven't been subjected to, exposed to the things that I have been. So understand, I'm not speaking from a place of ignorance. I'm speaking from a place of knowledge. I'm not talking about videos I saw on social media. No, I'm talking about what I experienced in real life. So when it comes to this Shiloh Hendrix situation, I can acknowledge that, yeah, it's wrong, but I can also acknowledge that there is an overreaction coming from a lot of these people. And it's not because they're really offended and they're hurt by what was said, which is probably the main reason that I'm not taking this Shiloh Hendrix situation seriously. Because for the last month, I saw an entire community come together and celebrate a young white kid getting stabbed at a track meet. I mean, these people literally made rap songs and twerked to it. Made videos popping their gums, smacking their lips, and rolling their necks. Mocking Austin's family. They weren't sensitive when it came to the death of a young white child. They weren't sensitive at all. They had no compassion at all. It was as if they were worms with no feelings, right? There was not a care in the world. There was no thoughts. There was nothing, right? Just cold-hearted racism. That's all it was for weeks. And now all of a sudden, you want me to believe that these same people who were twerking about a young white kid getting stabbed are just so offended by a word that they use all the time? I'm supposed to drop everything I'm doing and condemn Shiloh Hendrix after I watched this community tap dance all over the grave of Austin Metcalf while doxing and swatting his family? No. You guys can go cry in the corner about Shiloh saying the N-word. I'm not here to defend her saying it. I've never once said it was right that she said it. In fact, I've said it was wrong, but I'm not going to sit here and form a crusade against her when I know that y'all, anyone that's sitting here feeling sympathetic, y'all are being manipulated by this community that just literally celebrated the death of a young white child. And now they want to manipulate your emotions and to make you feel so sad and sympathetic towards them. The same people who were just laughing in your face about Austin getting killed. Now, obviously, I know that the kid in question has nothing to do with Austin Metcalf or Carmelo. Therefore, he shouldn't be blamed for any of the stuff that's going on between, Carmelo supporters and Austin supporters. This kid has nothing to do with that. I get it. He shouldn't receive some type of heat or anything like that because of what's going on with the Austin Metcalf case. But what I'm here talking about in these videos doesn't really have much to do with what happened on that playground. Just like when I've been covering the Austin Metcalf case, the entire discussion and debate around that case has very little to do with the actual facts. And it has everything to do with the reaction to the story. The reason the Austin Metcalf story blew up, the reason people are still talking about it, debating and arguing, is not because of the facts. The facts are very simple. That Carmelo stabbed him in the chest after he asked Carmelo to leave from under a tent. It's not really that complicated. So the discussion surrounding that case has to do with the reaction. It has to do with how people feel. It has to do with people raising money for a murderer. It has to do with people defending Carmelo and spreading racist, hateful lies, spreading fake news and fake autopsy reports, right? And then when you look at the Shiloh situation, it has very little to do with what went down on that playground. It has very little to do with Shiloh, her kid, or the 5-year-old autistic kid that doesn't really exist. It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with the conversation and the reaction to the story. Most of these videos, it's not me sitting here like, yeah, Shiloh, you were right to say that. No, it's me having an honest conversation and dissecting the reaction to these stories. And unlike most other people on this platform, I'm actually willing to be honest about these stories and be honest about how people feel and be honest about why people are reacting in this way and that way. Regardless if it's how people are reacting in support of Carmelo or if it's how people are reacting in support of Shiloh, I've been honest in my assessment. And if you appreciate that, if you appreciate the honesty, consider donating via Cash App or Super Thanks, because this platform does not appreciate honesty when it comes to stories like this one. Also, you can support the channel for free by liking, sharing, and subscribing and commenting. Like I said, this platform doesn't like honesty, but I know you guys do. But I just really want people to absorb that and understand that not everything is surface level, ladies and gentlemen. Not everything is surface level. From the surface level, you look at this and you say, hey, why is a grown woman calling kids names at a playground? But the story is so much deeper than that. The reason why this money has been raised is so much deeper than that. You could take Shiloh and you could replace her with something else or someone else. This was built up and this was going to happen as a reaction to how fed up people are. And the Carmelo situation and seeing this entire community come together and support Carmelo and trash Austin's family, it's been eye-opening and awakening for people. And for a lot of people who already knew what was going on in this country, it was the last straw. It was when they decided, you know what, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut anymore. I'm not going to sit by quietly and pretend like these issues don't exist anymore. The issues with violence in the black community did not start with Austin Metcalf. But what started with Austin Metcalf is people finally said, you know what, I'm going to speak out about it. And what's happening with Shiloh is people are saying, you know what, you're not going to control us with this word that y'all use anymore. You're not going to ruin our lives and dox us and threaten us over a simple word, especially not after y'all just celebrated the murder of a white child. If y'all aren't sensitive about white kids getting killed, then why are we going to be sensitive about a simple word that y'all use, that you call your kids this word all the time anyway? Not everyone, but some. But there's obviously a lot of conversations swirling around about all of this, and everyone has their own opinion, and you guys are welcome to have your own opinion down in the comments below, but you've heard a little bit of what I have to say about this. I want to roll this clip so you can hear what someone else has to say about all of this, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
I am going to spare y'all the fluff and just get right into it. This chick right here she's insane. This dude right here is worse. Let me run over that one more time. This chick, she was dead ass wrong. This guy is a criminal. That's the difference here. So when we have people donating to these two types of individuals, what we have here are individuals who are donating money towards somebody who is dead ass wrong, you know what I mean? Shameful behavior. And then we have people donating to a guy who took another guy's life, right? A young man who took another young man's life in a quite brutal way, if you would ask me. You know, getting shanked in the heart is no joke. So, therefore, is this right? I'm not donating. You know what I'm saying? I'm not with that. Now, should she go to prison for it? No. This guy, if he is guilty, which everything is pointing towards guilty, should go to jail. You see how that works? Take somebody's life, go to jail. Say some hurtful things to a kid, autistic kid, any sort of kid. That's just gross, right? Simple.
So what do you guys think about what he had to say? How do you all feel about his opinion? I think it was a fair opinion. Somewhat of a fair analysis of the situation. I think that the situation is a little more complicated than that, but it's also simplistic. He's right. It's not extremely hard to break down, if you will. But the calls for Shiloh to be arrested and stuff like that, that's where things get extreme, right? That's where when people like me who try to be reasonable, when I come into a situation like this and I automatically see people taking it to the extreme, like, oh, we gotta arrest her. And then I literally see people online talking about how they want to hit Shiloh in the head with a brick while she's holding her baby. When I see this extreme reaction to someone saying a simple word, it makes me automatically want to defend the person who said the word. It doesn't matter what word was said. It's not, oh yeah, I'm rallying behind her because she called a kid the N-word. It's no, I get online and I see this hate mob out for blood, literally wanting to kill a lady because she said their favorite word. A word that they say so many times per day. And seeing that extreme reaction either makes me grow numb to the situation overall, or it makes me go more in defense of Shiloh, because Shiloh's not forming an angry mob coming after people trying to kill them. Shiloh simply said a bad word at the park, which I don't agree with, but I don't think it warrants someone hitting her and beating her in the head with a brick while she's holding her toddler. So the extreme reaction that goes on when someone like Shiloh says a bad word, I think that extreme reaction causes even reasonable people to kind of side with the person that says the bad word because the other side is being so extreme. The other side isn't saying, hey, shame on you for calling the kid that. That's wrong. That's disgusting. You're a bad person. And leaving it there. No, they're not leaving it there. They're calling for her to get killed. They're calling for someone to break into her house and yank her out the house and beat on her and pee on her in front of her kid. Literally, there's videos out there of people saying this. And it's not like a one-off situation. This is how people feel, y'all. I get down in the trenches and see how people are reacting. So when you see this extreme reaction, it almost makes you want to side with Shiloh even if you don't agree with what she said or did. Right? And this is like the third or fourth person that I've seen say that Shiloh is insane. How do you guys feel about that? Because I think there may be a possibility that she's somewhat unstable. You're walking around the park calling, people slurs and stuff. Maybe you are unstable or maybe you're just fed up. I would guarantee you that as a mother of young kids, she's probably been to that park before. And she's probably experienced all types of things. She's at this park in Minnesota. Her area has been basically invaded by Somalians from Somalia. A lot of them are refugees. A lot of them just have no business at all being in America. So she's trying to take her little kids to play at the park. And there's Somalian chomos, Somalian predators hanging around the park who've already been accused of doing things with little kids. They're hanging around the park 24/7. And yeah, maybe she got fed up and winded up just hitting her snapping point and saying something that she shouldn't have said. So I don't think Shiloh has to be crazy per se for her to act out in the way that she did. I think there may be a history there of just going through hell while simply trying to take your kid to play at the park while there's creepy Somalians hanging around. And that's not me being hateful towards Somalians. We know what this guy was charged for. Okay? So, I think that may be the reaction here. But overall, when you're looking at the Shiloh Hendrix situation, you cannot look at it as an isolated story that exists in a bubble because that would not be doing proper justice and that would simply not be an honest way of looking at this story because this story is a direct reaction to other things. It has very little to do with anything that was said on the playground. It has very little to do with Shiloh. It has everything to do with how white people have been treated lately in this country. It has everything to do with the double standards when it comes to free speech, when it comes to the law. It has everything to do with white people sitting by, not sticking together, but just lone wolf kind of watching these other communities come together and collectively hate white people. That's what the Shiloh Hendrix situation boils down to at the end of the day. But I hope you guys, some of you all maybe better understand it now. I know a lot of you all already get it, which is why you're here. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell. And I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.